What's up, guys? It's your boys Wokey back out with another Chris Watts and Nicole Kessinger. Well, this is not even about Nicole Kessinger. It's about strictly Chris. And if you haven't heard already, Chris Watts has moved. Now, there's a lot of splitting in this direction of why he was moved. Good things, bad things. I don't even know why there would be good things, but we're going to look at all of this information because Kelly wrote me last night on Facebook and gave me all the nitty gritty about Chris Watts moving. So thank you, Kelly. You know who you are. So I appreciate you. I just don't want to give it your last name, obviously, for protection purposes. But if you guys are new here, make sure you guys just subscribe to my YouTube channel by hitting that white bar icon down at the bottom right. Hit that bell icon next to it. So when I do post videos like this one, you guys will get that little ring notification that I posted that video. And then you guys can watch, comment, like, and share. And again, I thank you guys so very much. And with that being said, let's get into the video. Alrighty, so this was where Chris was, which is the Dodge Correctional Institute, a maximum security prison where you are pretty much watched like a hawk in everything you do, which was great for Chris Watts. He only had a couple infractions while being there. One was because he was transferring contraband, and the other one, I can't remember exactly what it was, but he had two different little mishaps in his time from being at Dodge Correctional Institute to today's time frame. But if you zoom all the way out, this man was transferred to Graham. Let me bring it back up here. I got to remember. So remember where he was at. Now he has like no scenery whatsoever. This is a minimum security place now. So the reason why we don't know exactly like on point, but if we bring up like information that I Googled and kind of did my little research here, a maximum prison inmate might be transferred to a minimum prison due to a combination of different factors. And we're looking at these different factors, including a clean disciplinary record where he had a couple bad things, not anything bad. It's not like he shanked somebody or anything. Nearing the end of his sentence, the man's never getting out. He's obviously locked up for his life sentence. Or a change in their security risk assessment, allowing for a less restrictive environment. Now, it could be that somebody put a hit out on Chris. That could be the situation. Who knows? I can't say for a fact because I don't know. But again, it could be that reason. Here is a more detailed breakdown of reasons that could be. And the reason why I'm reading these out is because I do have some blind fans that can't see. So I'm reading it for them. And I don't have an AI bot that can read for me. So good content and a reduced risk. Excuse me. If an inmate in a maximum security prison demonstrates or consistent patterns of good behavior, which is probably something that helped him, minimal disciplinary issues, which he only had 2 in the almost 7 years that he was there, a reduced risk of escape or violence, they may be considered for transfer to a lower security level like a minimum security, which would be the Graham, what do they call this one? Graham Correctional Center. I do apologize. I can't remember if it was Correctional Center or if it was Institute. Sentence completion. That one we can mark off. As an inmate is time remaining on their sentence decreases, they may or might be transferred to a minimum security facility, potentially closer to home. Where if you back out of Graham, right there, and you look at North Carolina, where he's from, I don't know if he's on like the board. I don't even know where Chris Watts lives, to be honest, or where he did live. I remember the town that Shanann was from. I should have to Google it one time. But if you see the distance, it's closer. Is that what he's trying to do? Is he trying to get back home as close as he can so his family can actually come see him? I don't think the actual justice system really cares how close he is. But I mean, he could be over in Washington, but he's over here. So, easier visits, like I just said, or potential prepare for them release. The man has 3 consecutive life sentences. He's not going anywhere. Plus, how many different years in prison? Security level reassessment. Prison system regularly reassess inmates' security levels based on various factors, including behavior, gang affiliation, and the other risk factors if an inmate risk or security risk is deemed to have decreased. I hope that's not the case. They could be moved to a lower security facility. Program participations. Some inmates may be transferred to minimum security prison to participate in specific programs or services that are not available at higher security facilities. So I really hope this man's not like trying to go for like a degree in like psychology or something. I'm just throwing that out there, but the man's probably trying to get like his education or just do something with his life rather than look at probably 4 walls. Inmate request. The man could have requested this transfer. Chris could have moved for that reason. In some cases, inmates may request a transfer to a minimum security prison, and if their security risk and other factors allow it, the request may be approved. Well, it was approved, or it wasn't approved, but if he transferred himself, he got confirmation, or it was approved. Shortages of beds at higher security level. They just ran out of room, which I highly doubt. But sometimes an inmate can get an override to a lower custody level because of a shortage of beds or their correct custody level. Housing cost. Housing costs for inmates go up as custody levels increase. So transferring inmates to lower security levels can be cost-saving measures. Now, Chris was not more of a, how I want to say this, aggressive person when it came to other people. He was more an introvert, quiet, collected, that we saw growing up, or him growing up, but obviously things were different when he was with his family, and then he was with NK and so forth. So I wouldn't say that he was moved because he was the problem. Well, he was probably the problem, but somebody probably was more like, hey, Chris, you're gonna kind of thing. And they're like, we got to move him or he's going to get Nixnade or Ixnade, Nixnade. How do you pronounce it? So that's probably could have been the option as well. So again, looking how far it was, it's about a 5.5 hour drive. And obviously you guys are probably like, Zwolke, we want to make sure that this is 100% legit. Of course, I have the information for you guys. I'll pull it up here for you right now. Alrighty, so Kelly was nice enough to send me everything, pretty much also the file that shows him what his ID number and so forth. The only thing that I'm questioning while looking at Chris Watts's ID number, which is M08331, is if we look at this one, crime defacement of property less than or greater than $300, second degree. The man should be on there for murder. Why does it say crime defacement of property greater than $300 in the second degree? It's just very, very, very interesting. Again, we have crime defacement of property she sent. Chris Watts, obviously the little of all these different names of the inmates and so forth. And she sent me this. So, what is your guys' thoughts when it comes to this? Oh, I also have something to tell you too. I can't remember where I saw it or where I read it. I can't remember. But Chris Watts is actually upset about the YouTube channels that talk about him, his family, or his family that he annihilated, and Nicole Kessinger. Here it is. I found it. CDT was the one that was able to find this information and so forth on her channel. So make sure you guys go over to her channel, give her some love, subscribe, comment, like, and share. You know the deal. But I want you guys to listen to it. I've already watched it, but I want you guys to see it if you guys have never seen it. The title is Chris Watts Wants YouTube to Respect His Feelings and His Family.
Hi guys, welcome to the channel. This is going to be a very quick video, but I had to get my thoughts out on a phone call that was just released from Chris Watts. In the phone call, Chris is speaking to Kim, who is the creator of Chris Watts' Revelation in the Reckoning. I'll link her channel below because I'm speaking of her. I want to give her channel credit to where I'm getting the information. Basically, on the phone call with Chris stated that channels like AD, which is Armchair Detective, is not in support of his wishes or his.
And if you don't know, that channel was removed and had a whole huge court hearing and the attorneys and so forth with Frankie Jr., which he did win. But I've heard things about certain channels, and I'm not going to say anything. I'm trying to tiptoe and so forth. So I've heard some things, but yet again, it's up for you to make that determination if it's fact or not. So
feelings or his mindset, that it's not his directive and that AD is doing this without Chris's blessing, and that everyone should talk to and listen to Kim because Kim knows Chris and the case more than anybody.
We're talking about that Kim could. Yeah, I heard. Yeah, let's not get into that one.
He said that he doesn't support the propaganda and the accusations and the hurt that channels like AD are spreading. And then Kim said, well, this will help people know who to trust and what to believe. So that's the summary of it. I'll play it for you at the end. And of course, I'm going to link her channel. But
whose channel?
My thoughts are this is absolutely ridiculous. AD is a channel who has only looked at evidence and used some theory, and he believes that other people are involved. And I believe that as well. I don't think Chris acted alone. I'm allowed to say that.
I believe that. It's our opinion.
Just hearing Chris say, AD doesn't take my feelings into account.
When you murdered your family, your feelings don't matter anymore. It's pretty much where it's at. We don't care about how you feel. We care about Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and Nico. We don't care about you, Chris. We don't care about how you feel. At least I don't. Do you care about Chris's feelings? I'm guessing 99.9% of you guys are going to say the same thing.
He's doing this without my blessing. Sorry, Chris, but no one cares about your feelings or your blessing on what we do on YouTube. We're looking at the discovery and the facts of the case and speaking on it. And then him, saying that Kim knows the case better than everybody. Well, I've heard her on lives and I've heard her misspeak on some things and not know.
I've never heard her thing or her rant or whatever have you. So I don't know. I just found out about that Kim not even less than 2 weeks ago. And I've looked into this case a lot and never even knew about the Kim part of it. So I'm just not going to go there because I have no idea about it. So
quite a bit of information. And then the other thing, talking about propaganda, accusations, and hurt. Well, that's exactly what this other channel is doing. She's accusing Shanann of killing her children. And therefore, that's an accusation, which is causing hurt to many people who knew Shanann and who know that Shanann didn't do this. So I'm going to go ahead and play this for you. And like I said, I just had to get this out because I really feel upset over this phone call. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that Chris would think anyone cares about his feelings or blessing on what they speak on their YouTube channel. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great day.
You too.
I'd just like to say that, I've heard all this information that's been put out about me, about my family, about my friends, and I'd just like to say that this Armchair Detective, podcast, or whatever it may be, is not in support of my will, of my wishes, of my feelings, of
we don't care.
My mindset, my directives. It's all been done without me blessing it. And I want to refer people to talk to Kim, to listen to Kim, because she knows more about me, more about this.
Last I knew, the channel that Kim had is gone. So just throwing that out there.
Case than anybody else. And I just want people to trust her and don't go to these podcasts that have this mindset to spread propaganda, to spread hurt, to spread accusations.
How about this, Chris? We will take your feelings in consideration if you tell us exactly everything about NK. I think that's a good, fair trade, don't you think?
I'm not in support of it.
Okay, that's awesome. That's a great message, and I think that will help people know who to trust and what to believe so that that stuff can be stopped.
Okay. And there was one other video that I wanted to share with you that she had done, CDT, which was NK, or was NK, bothered by NA calling the police. I thought this gave me some eyebrows, like raised eyebrows, and some red flags to look at. So I just wanted to watch it with you. I didn't watch it yet. I thought this one would be my honest reaction about in front of you, and then we can discuss it afterwards. But let's take a look at it and see what we can find out. Because why would NK be bothered by NA calling the police? Unless she was involved.
And I'm calling because I'm concerned about a friend of mine. I dropped her off at her house at 2 in the morning last night because we were out of town together and we were on the way back from the airport, and she's having issues and she's pregnant, and I haven't been able to get a hold of her this morning, and I've gone to her house and her car's there and stuff like that, but she won't answer the door, she won't answer phone calls, she won't answer text messages. And I'm just really, really concerned. And she had a doctor's appointment this morning, and she didn't go to it. And I don't know what to do. I called him and talked to him, and he said that.
You can hear the worry and scare in her voice. But then you see posts that are on different forums that talk about NA in the bad light that, oh, she didn't care about Shanann. She just wanted to get her part off of Thrive, and she was trying to piggyback on. Like, what are we, like, why are we looking at that stuff? Look at Chris. Look at Nicole. Don't be looking at NA. Or Nicole Atkinson did nothing besides help and be the hero in this case. So I don't know what they're on.
She went on a play date with her other 2 daughters, but like if she went on a play date, they're both in car seats. Why would she not take her car?
Perfectly understandable. Do you happen to know her address, Nicole?
I'm actually standing outside her house. It's 2825 Saratoga Trail in Frederick. And then I said, like, Chris, can you just come home and check to make sure she's okay? Because the shoes she wears every single.
And in fact, he said, do not call the police. I'll be there soon. It roughly took him like 20 minutes to get 20. What was it? 20 or 40 minutes to get home. I think it was a longer one, 40 minutes.
They are right inside her door.
Until he finally knew that the police were at his house. Then he started freaking out and got home. But then he also texted NA to stop messing with the door, stop messing with the garage door. He said those in text messages.
And he was like, yeah, I'll be there in 3 minutes. Well, that was 45 minutes ago. And
See, I
I
told you.
Again, can you please come home? And he's like, I'm 45 minutes out.
Like,
Okay.
I have to go. The cops are here, and I don't remember if you said that on the phone or over text.
That's
I don't
okay.
even. I'm so tired.
That's fine. You don't.
But
need
either
to
way,
different-
like,
it's
the
just
cops.
for context.
Yeah, I mean, you guys will figure it out. The cops are here, and I'm just like, all right. And then I remember we were like we were texting, but I was like hanging out with my company, so it wasn't like a nonstop text. It was just kind of like I would check my phone every once in a while, and we would communicate with each other. And he was just saying like they weren't there, and that her friend Nikki was there, and that her friend Nikki had called the cops. And I'm like, why would this girl call the cops a few hours? Like, the cop thing was kind of weird, but he's like, Nikki
It's a missing person. They're missing.
insisted they call the cops. Nikki insisted they call the cops. And I'm like, okay, you know, and I'm just trying to figure out, well, like, what role does this woman play in this situation? Like, is she...
Did you know who she was?
No, I don't know any of his people. I don't know. I wish...
It's not his people, it's Shanann's people.
I feel like I wish I should have, like, processed all of this earlier, but I just don't feel like when one of my friends is gone, I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, oh.
Well, if you see that there's the shoes are still there, the car seats are there, when they go in the house, her purse is still there, the medicine's still there. She had every right to call the police if she was worried about her friend.
So those clips were taken from NK's interview on August 16th. This is the interview with Kevin Kovac where her dad is also present in the interview room. The audio of that interview is about 2 hours and 10 minutes long. It cuts off right after NK says the "oh my God." But the interview continues and we have the transcript for that interview.
Oh.
So after the "oh my God," where she's talking about, you know, if my friend doesn't answer, it's not like I'm thinking, oh my God, they got murdered. We should address this. Like, I haven't heard from them for 4
Wasn't this before they were actually found murdered?
hours. So in my opinion, you know, she's bringing up the word murdered, which at this point, NK and her dad know
I think I remember.
Shanann,
Okay.
Nico, Bella, and Cece were murdered. They know this. Just
Okay.
all of those clips to me sound very
Stage.
insensitive. NK's tone sounds irritated, in my opinion.
Annoyed.
And just overall, she sounds annoyed by NA calling the police to report Shanann missing.
I agree.
Now, later on in the interview, this is towards the end of the transcript, NK's dad talks about NA calling the police. He says, quote, "I find the whole thing very weird. If as much as you told me he was as normal as he was, but yet a very close friend would call within just a couple hours of her not answering the door, or what was it? It just..." NK says, "Well, I think she was like on meds or something. Like, so I think she wasn't concerned about Chris."
They're trying to justify, why would you call within 2 hours? The NA saw that her shoes were there, the car was there, the door was locked, she's not answering her phone, the kids are not to be found. When they finally went in the house, again, there was missing, or there was things that were there. Of course she had every right to call. She thought that her friend was missing or something bad had happened. And they're like, "Oh, I don't know why she called after 2 hours." Like, what?
Dad says, but to call the police within just like the same day, and yet he acted normal on his end, that is weird. NK says, yeah. Dad says, there's the 2 different lives there or something. NK says, oh, there's definitely 2 different lives there. That's why sometimes I have to I feel like when he's like, well, people are like, what did he say about her? And it's just like, I don't even know if I want to say it, because who knows if that's what's really happening.
That sentence made no sense.
So right there we have, NK's dad saying that he found it weird that NA called the police. NA called the police at around 1:30 p.m. This was after she knew her friend was emotional and in a rough spot. She knew her friend had a doctor's appointment to check on the baby.
That
She
too.
knew the girls were starting school that day. NA had already gone to Shanann's home. She had, tried to get into her house, looked in the door, looked in the windows, nothing. She went to the doctor, checked there, came back and reported her missing around 1:30 to the police. So, in my opinion, I understand why NA did that. And it doesn't seem like it was really that quickly. You know, Shanann was attached to her phone. So
It was part
I
of her
just wanted to
business.
point out, you know, the tone and the wording that both NK and her dad.
It throws up red flags galore. I don't know how much more we got to say it until we're purple in the face, but literally, probably nothing's ever going to get done, unfortunately. It's the real sad, unfortunate realization that in the next 4 years, nothing is going to be done. Nothing is going to be looked at unless YouTubers find some big, huge evidence that would support NA or NK being involved, or if NK even came forward and said, yeah, it was me. I was the one that did it or helped. Other than that, I don't think anything's going to happen. We're going to try to still look into different parts of the case. And I'm not saying I'm giving up, but I don't want to keep doing the same old reiterations when it would be redundantly annoying on certain aspects. I mean, if you guys want to continue to look at the case, I have no problem doing it. But I just don't want people to be upset that we're not finding anything new. I'm going through the discovery. I'm reading it. I'm doing as much as I can. And I want you guys to know that we're not giving up on the case, but I don't want to do the same thing over and over and over when it comes to the red car or the cameras and so forth. So just let me know your guys' thoughts on what we just saw here when it came to him being transferred from Dodge to Graham, about YouTube respecting his wishes. You lost that respect when you murdered your family, dude. I'm just throwing that out there. And then what NK thinks about NA calling the police, all that said, post it in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more content like this one, and then don't forget to go over to CDT, do the same thing. She's got a lot of good content over there. We'll see you guys in the next video. Please take care, be safe, and as always, keep nerding on, and we will see you guys in the next video.